My dad told us only his favorite child would inherit the house, so my siblings started sabotaging each other. I was 19 when Dad gathered us in the kitchen and announced he'd rewritten his will. My older brother Julian was 22, my sister Natasha was 20, and my younger brother Wesley was 16. Dad stood at the head of the table with a manila folder in his hands and explained that after Mom died, he'd realized dividing the family estate 3 ways was wasteful. The house was worth $1.8 million, and he'd spent decades building equity in it. He wanted it to go to the child who loved him most, the one who proved they deserved it through their actions. The other 2 would get nothing. Julian immediately asked what he meant by proving it, and Dad smiled in this cold way that made my stomach turn. I'll know it when I see it. The child who takes care of me, who respects me, who shows up when it matters, that's who gets everything. Wesley looked confused and asked if this was a joke. Natasha's face had gone completely rigid. I sat there trying to process what Dad had just done to us. The first incident happened 3 days later. Julian had been bringing Dad coffee every morning before work, trying to establish himself as the devoted son. I woke up to Dad screaming from the bathroom that someone had replaced his blood pressure medication with expired pills from 2019. Julian found his car tires slashed in the driveway. Natasha claimed she saw Wesley near the garage the night before with a knife, but Wesley swore he was at his friend's house. Dad called us all downstairs and said this was exactly the kind of character test that would determine his decision. Whoever was sabotaging their siblings was showing their true nature. But then he added that protecting him from chaos also demonstrated love and capability. I realized Dad wasn't going to stop this. He was encouraging it. Within 2 weeks, the house turned into a war zone. Natasha started cooking elaborate dinners for Dad every night, but twice she got violently sick after eating her own food. She accused Julian of poisoning her meals to eliminate competition. Julian's laptop disappeared with all his work files the day before a major presentation that would have impressed Dad. Wesley's college applications were mysteriously deleted from the shared computer. I tried staying neutral and just being present for Dad, but that strategy backfired when Julian cornered me in the hallway. You think playing Switzerland makes you look good? Dad sees you as weak. You're not even trying. He shoved past me hard enough that I hit the wall. The next morning, I found my truck's brake lines cut. Dad started keeping a journal that he left visible on the coffee table. I saw it one afternoon when he went to the bathroom. The pages had our names with ratings next to them. Julian, 8 out of 10, shows initiative but too aggressive. Natasha, 6 out of 10, trying too hard, seems desperate. Wesley, 4 out of 10, immature and reactive. My name had a 5 next to it with a note that said, passive, needs to prove himself. That journal became an obsession for all of us. Julian started leaving Dad's favorite snacks on his nightstand with notes attached. Natasha hired a photographer to take professional portraits of Dad for his birthday, even though it was 5 months away. Wesley began mowing the lawn at 6 a.m. to show dedication. I watched my siblings destroy themselves trying to win a competition that Dad had designed to have no rules and no end date. The breaking point came when Natasha ended up in the hospital. She'd fallen down the basement stairs and fractured her wrist and 3 ribs. She told the doctors Julian pushed her, but Julian had witnesses proving he was at work. Wesley admitted to me later that he'd loosened the stair railing because Natasha had been leading in Dad's journal for 2 weeks straight. I didn't think she'd actually fall that hard, he said, his hands shaking. I just wanted to scare her. I reported Wesley to Dad, expecting him to end this nightmare. But instead, Dad sat us all down and said Natasha's injury proved she wasn't resilient enough to handle the responsibility of inheriting the house. He bumped her down to last place in his journal. Julian was now in first. Wesley was second despite causing her injury. I was still third. Natasha came home from the hospital and didn't speak to any of us for 3 days. 2 months into this competition, I moved out. I told Dad I didn't want the house anymore and that what he'd done to us was cruel and unforgivable.